Welcome to Young Scholars webinar, and today we are going to be talking about how you guys can create a podcast or a YouTube channel in the most safest way possible. I'm going to be your host. I'm Antonio Pizza. I am the NSHSS Ambassador Council Vice President. I'm currently a freshman at the University of Central Florida and an up and coming politician dedicated to improving the community. Whether if I'm working on political campaigns or participating in Boy Scouts and school activities, I always am ready to help. I'm currently running for Seminole County School Board, and in 2044, I hope to be the President of the United States. So always remember, guys, the pizza always delivers. So to go over the agenda, we're going to start with how to start a podcast or a channel, then finding ideas and staying inspired. Then we're going to cover the real challenges and how to overcome them. And then most importantly, online safety and privacy essentials. Then finish it off with a quick Q&A. Podcast versus a YouTube channel. What is the difference? Now, I questioned this a lot growing up. So, a YouTube channel, in essence, is a video show. A YouTube channel is where you post videos for people to watch. It includes video and audio, and great for tutorials, reviews, vlogs, and creative projects. You'll need a camera, but most of us have phones, so you can use that, and basic editing skills. Viewers can comment, so you need a good safety settings. Examples: study tips, art videos, sport highlights, day in my life, and how-to videos make great content. Now, what is a podcast? Well, a podcast really focuses on the audio side of it. A podcast is like your own radio show that people listen to, mostly voice only, and it's great for storytelling, interviews, advice, or fun topics. You can record with just a phone, maybe a microphone, even. People can listen while walking, driving, or doing homework. Examples of a podcast can be talking about your favorite books, your school life, your hobbies, or interviews with friends. If you want to do a podcast, you want to focus on talking and sharing ideas. Platforms you can use with parent guidance. YouTube/YouTube Shorts. Now that's going to be video. Now YouTube Shorts is going to be like vertical and not landscape. Spotify for podcasters. It's like a music streaming site. Apple Podcasts is good for listening to those podcasts. And Spotify is another listening platform similar to Apple Podcasts. But most importantly, many platforms require users to be 13 plus. If you're under 13, you may need a parent/slash guardian to help you set it up and manage privacy settings. So make sure you talk to your parents as soon as possible if interested. Drum roll, please. Let's introduce our first speaker, Adaliz Ramirez. Sorry if I pronounced her name wrong, Adaliz. She is an NSHSS ambassador and a content support team lead. She's also an NSH 101 channel creator and our guest speaker today. She's a senior at Pepin Academies in Pasco Campus, Florida, and is attending Pasco Hernando State Colleges this fall. She is also a graphic designer, author, tutor, and passionate student rights advocate with hobbies ranging from painting to sketching and sewing to piano, guardian, clay sculpturing, and filmmaking even. Adaliz, do you want to take over?
Thanks for the warm introduction, Antonio.
Of
Hi,
course.
everyone. I don't think I need to introduce myself because of that wonderful introduction. So let's get right into it. I'm the host of a YouTube channel called NSHSS 101. I started it in June for the NSHSS Video Influencer Challenge. And when I started, I already knew a little bit about making videos because I had edited videos and created channels before, and I had experience with video editing. So I started video editing when I was about 12 years old. And after making my first was few years later, here we are. And after I posted my first few videos on NSHSS 101, I realized that I could really make a difference. The channel became my way to give back to NSHSS for everything they've done to me, like the ambassador program and all the wonderful opportunities that they give to students like you and me. And the best part is I earned volunteer hours. I got to work with amazing students, and I even won the Video Influencer Challenge. Next slide, please. So starting a channel by myself was not too hard. The real challenge came when I started inviting others on the channel. My short 10-minute videos sometimes turn into 30 minutes or even hour-long videos. Even short form videos take a lot of time to make. You have to research, write the script, record, edit, add graphics, make transitions, and create a thumbnail. So my 7-minute videos can take around 8 hours to finish, sometimes 10. Not to mention outreach, finding speakers can be sometimes tricky. Communication, yeah. Editing long videos, staying on schedule, balancing schoolwork, and other activities can be stressful, and it's been the cause of burnouts for me. Sometimes it can even feel exhausting or overwhelming, and that's okay. Everyone faces challenges when they try something new. You just need to learn how to balance it all. Next slide, please. So, how do I stay motivated and come up with ideas for videos? First, I remember why I started. I focused on helping others and sharing useful information. That keeps me going even when things are hard. Next, I make videos about things that I know and care about. Since my channel is about NSHSS, I think about what students like you would want to learn. I ask myself questions like, if I didn't know what NSHSS was, if I didn't know about NSHSS, what would I want to know? And finally, I try to think like my viewers. Who are they? What will help them? This way, I can create videos that are fun, useful, and meaningful. The most important thing to remember is you don't need to be perfect to start. Just start, do what you love, and stay focused on helping others. And that is how you can make a difference. A mistake that I personally made was prioritizing work over my mental health. I have gotten sick from working too much, so no, it's okay to give yourself a break every now and then, and don't stick to too strict of a schedule, okay? Take a break when you need to. Yeah. I recommend that you have a good schedule. I recommend that you plan ahead. It really helps, and yeah, that's it for me.
Antonio, I think you may be muted.
Thank you.
There we
Our
go.
next speaker is Angelica Oliver. She is NSHSS Coordinator of Society Programs. She is also the NSHS podcast producer, and today she is our wonderful speaker. She is a she is a communications and community building professional with experience across the nonprofit education and the corporate sectors. She is currently serves as the Society Programs Coordinator at NSHSS, where she oversees the Success Beyond Academics programs. I took that program. It was amazing. Manages educator engagement and leads strategic digital communications. Let's give her a warm welcome.
Thank you so much, Antonio. That was, again, a wonderful introduction. Thank you. Um, I am so excited to be here and to talk to you about podcasts. This is currently my third podcast that I have produced. So I'm very excited to talk about one, safety, and then also how to go about starting a podcast and what you'll need. But let's first start off with safety. So we have students and parents alike listening. So I really want to hone in on this so that parents can keep their kids safe, and then also students, you can stay safe as well. Okay, so for young creators, some must knows about creating. Your creativity matters, but the matters more. You have to stay safe online. And that includes never sharing personal info, like school names, exact location, daily routines. That is one way to stay safe. And if you need to create an external social media account just for your podcast, I suggest that instead of using your own personal. And, if you want to use your audience that you have on social media, if you do, to drive to those social media accounts specifically for your podcast, that is a great way to stay safe, where you keep your personal information as your own, but also promoting and letting people know about your podcast. Use strong passwords. I know that's one thing that a lot of social media apps, a lot of podcasting apps will actually make you do. They say that you need to use a strong password. So make sure that is something that is unique to that site and something that you will remember. So that is just a great way to keep your data safe and then your information safe. And also a lot of apps use two-factor authentication. If that is an option for you, that is also a great way to keep your data safe. And you can use your parents' phone numbers or emails in order to, as your second factor authentication. So that is one way that a student and a parent can actually work together to keep data safe. And then also keep your accounts private when you're starting out, making sure that everything that you, all of your personal information is gatekept so that or gate kept so that you're not exposing all of the information all at once. And then also think before you post. I know that we talk a lot about that with online safety, but think what would a stranger, or would I be okay with a stranger knowing this information? So whenever in doubt, just remember, if you wouldn't tell it to someone you just met, don't post it online. That also goes with podcasting. If you wouldn't say it to a stranger, don't post it online. That's just online safety. So that goes into setting boundaries. What does that mean? When you start off with a podcast or anything that kind of puts yourself out there, you have to be prepared for any comments, DMs, or engagement that comes along with posting yourself publicly, or your information or your ideas publicly. So normalize setting those boundaries early. Yeah, you don't owe anybody a reply. Blocking or muting isn't rude, it's protective, and negative comments say more about the commenter than the creator. So that's not on you that someone is being rude online. Just make sure that you're blocking and that you're being protective of yourself, and it is not rude to say no or to ignore comments. So some practical tips when starting out: turn off DMs from strangers. Filter keywords on platforms. You can do that on YouTube. You can do it on social media apps. Just make sure that you're filtering anything that you do not want to see. And then also ask a trusted adult before responding to something that feels uncomfortable. I think you need to trust your instinct whenever you are reading comments, because your instinct is always most likely right. So make sure that you're bringing things to adults, and also adults, make sure you're monitoring all of your comments, all of the DMs, everything that is coming along with your student starting something new and putting themselves out there. So remember, you're allowed to protect your peace even online. So we'll go ahead and go to the next slide. Okay, so when starting out, what do you need? You do not need fancy equipment. This right here, if you can see, a phone. It's the best way that you can start out. It has a lot of features that a lot of people don't utilize. So you have a microphone, you have a camera, you have everything that you need right here. Laptops, a tablet, all of those things are enough to start out. You do not need anything fancy. If you would like to upgrade, they also have cheaper options out there for you to use as far as camera work or microphones. So you do not need anything too expensive or anything. Natural light is often better than expensive lighting. You do not need the bells and whistles. Headphones with a mic can improve sound. Whenever I have a podcast guest, I usually make sure that I tell them to, if they don't have any equipment, if they could bring headphones with some sort of mic, that always works for me, so that I'm ready to, if I need to improve sound, I can always do it in post, which means in post production. But Most of the time, it works very well, just headphones with the mic. There's free tools that you can use as far as editing a podcast or a video if you want to put it on YouTube. CapCut, iMovie, Canva, Riverside, they all have free options that work very well. And if you want to get fancy with it, you can get that external mic or a fancy recording platform. There's plenty out there that also have lower tiers so that you do not need to spend that much if you do not want to. And then also going back to what Adaliz said, YouTube is a great place to start out, even with a podcast. There's also free tiers on podcast platforms like Podbean and Buzzsprout, which connect your podcast with Spotify podcasts and Apple podcasts. So there's options out there if you want to start, but start somewhere. Your content matters more than equipment. So start simple and then grow as you go. So for parents, supporting your students' creativity safely. Have open conversations, not secret monitoring. I think it is about two-way communication. When you open up the door for your student to have ideas and to express themselves, you can talk about it creatively. How can you keep your students safe, but also support their ideas and their passions? It's all about that two-way communication. So for students, by running things with things by your parents, it may give you a perspective that you may not have thought about. Again, that two-way communication. Parents have a lot of perspective that you may not have considered, and then students may have ideas that you're like, wait, that's actually a great way to express and a great way to communicate those ideas. So let's go and do something about it. But it's all about that two-way communication. But by running things by your parents, they may give you more perspective. Set time limits and content guidelines together. It's about building something together. It's teamwork. So make sure that you're setting those limits together so that you're both aligned on what content you want to use and then also what time you want to use. Encourage creativity while reviewing privacy settings. Like I said, it's a balance between keeping each other safe, but then also expressing yourself creatively. Celebrate effort, not just likes or views. You will get bogged down by the numbers, but celebrate the effort. Celebrate that you actually went out and you actually did it. It's not about likes and views. It's about the content that you actually created. So be curious, not critical. Ask questions instead of assuming. So last tip, learn from others. It's important to learn from other creators. So together you can find a podcast to listen to as a family. Like I said, I produced the podcast for NSHSS, which is the NSHSS Scholars Connect podcast. Learn from other podcasts, listen to other things so that you can see, you could get ideas about, podcasts that are that you like and the ones that you're like, I don't know about that one, but it's all about learning from others and other creatives. Lastly, remember to create with confidence. So be creative, be safe, but also be yourself. And that is for me. Thank you all.
So, the easy next steps. Are you guys ready to start creating? Here's what you need to do next. Pick a format. Does it want to be a podcast or do you want to be a YouTuber? Choose your topic, something you enjoy and you can talk about weekly. Write a quick plan, 3 episodes or 3 video ideas to start, and create a simple setup. So, like a phone, a quiet space, and a good lighting area. Practice and record. Keep it short. 30 to 90 seconds is a great start for any video. And stay safe. Privacy settings and boundaries plus a trusted adult support is most important. And share with confidence. Your voice matters. So tips and Q&A. Online safety plus confidence tips for starting a podcast or YouTube channel. Start small and stay consistent. One short episode and a video at a time. Protect your privacy. No school name, home address, or real-time location. Set boundaries early. What you will and won't share online. Be mindful of comments plus direct messages. Don't engage with negativity. Block and report when needed. Keep accounts secure with strong passwords and two-factor authentication. And use simple starter tools. Phone cameras and basic mic is enough to begin with. Ask a trusted adult for support. Review contact and help with settings and stay safe. Any questions? Check the chat. Any questions in the chat? Does any of our guest speakers have any last minute advice?
I do actually. I know that a lot of people may be, uh, they may not know where to start. So how do you, use your personal stories without, giving away too much information, but how do you create kind of a niche in the YouTube podcasting world? Because there are a lot of podcasting YouTube channels out there. So how do I create something that is unique and something that speaks still to my experience? And my advice with that is that you yourself are unique. You have unique experiences, you have unique perspectives. And I think no one is like you. So, um, one of the great things about being creative is that you can really use your experiences as a benefit, as a bonus, because um, not everybody has had your experiences. So it does give you a unique perspective. Even if someone is like, well, I love boats, right? But there's a lot of boating content out there. I used to boat with my grandparents, and um, so just as an example, like I don't, there's a lot of information already out there, but nothing has been put out there that has been unique to you. Um, so I think about creating a niche and creating something online without giving away too much information. Of course, that safety is important, but your unique perspective is a plus. It is a benefit. So if you're hesitant on creating something just because other things are already out there, I say just go for it, because you never know what you'll say that will, really change the game in that space. So I say be bold, and even if you think that that is something that's already been explored, you never know what the outcome could be. It's all about being bold and just going and doing and starting somewhere.
Yeah, that's really good advice, Angelica. Any of my other, you have some advice, Adaliz?
So now I'm thinking, I want to give some advice for how to make some confident videos and get a lot of viewers and stuff like that. Really short, really simple. But when I first started, I really didn't know how to speak in videos. I thought, clear speaker, look confident, show exaggerating emotions. But here's the thing, viewers can smell fake plastic a mile away. So make sure that you are authentic and that you're being just yourself, your personality, while you're speaking in the camera and recording yourself. Because one of the things that people look for when they're watching a video is authenticity. Someone they can relate to, someone they enjoy talking to. It feels real, someone trustworthy. So try to portray that when you're making your videos. And also, one really great tip that I have for making videos is your thumbnail. Know how to create a really good thumbnail and you will grab viewers each and every single time. Um, what I do, because I'm a designer, I'm a graphic designer, I like using Adobe apps for me. It does take some time to learn, but you can use other software such as Photofeed. You can even get help from AI if you want to. Sometimes I do to create backgrounds and stuff like that because you don't really want to get what's the word? Photos that don't belong to you, I guess. I forgot the word for it. copyrighted images. Yes.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's good to use AI to create patterns and backgrounds and maybe titles and stuff like that. It's been really helpful for me. So learning how to create a really nice background is especially helpful to grab the viewer's attention because it's the first thing that they see when they see your video on YouTube. That's all for me. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us. And if you guys can please fill out this QR code and give us some feedback. Our next webinar is February 23rd at 6:30 Eastern. Be more winners in projects that impact middle schools. So that's going to be our next webinar topic. And I really hope to see you guys there. Thank you so much, guys. Have a wonderful night.